In the absolute dark of a hollow tree in Central America, a common vampire bat, Desmodus rotundus, returns to its roost. She was unsuccessful tonight. Her belly is empty, and the clock is ticking. Another bat, a roost mate she has spent hours grooming, approaches. There is no struggle. The successful hunter lowers her head and begins to regurgitate a thick, crimson meal of blood directly into the starving bat's mouth. This isn't just a meal, it's a transaction, a deposit into a biological bank account where the currency is survival itself. The urgency of this exchange is difficult to overstate. A vampire bat's metabolism is a raging furnace. Because their only food is blood, low in fat and carbohydrates, they have no energy reserves. Missing just 2 consecutive nightly meals means starvation and death. It's a life lived on a razor's edge, a 48-hour fuse that is constantly burning. This brutal metabolic reality is the selective pressure that forged their remarkable social system. For these animals, cooperation isn't a pleasantry. It is the fundamental architecture of their existence, the only thing standing between them and the void. This act of sharing is a textbook example of reciprocal altruism, a concept elegantly summarized as, "You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours." But for it to work, you need to remember whose back you scratched and who scratched yours. Researcher Gerald Wilkinson's pioneering studies in the 1980s revealed that bats are far more likely to share with an individual who has previously shared with them. They are keeping a mental ledger of every meal given and received. A donation today is an insurance policy for tomorrow. This social accounting is incredibly sophisticated, suggesting a level of long-term memory and individual recognition that challenges our typical view of bats. One might assume this is all about family. Kin selection, favoring relatives, is a powerful evolutionary force, and bats do share more often with their kin. But what's truly fascinating is the sheer volume of sharing that occurs between unrelated bats. What predicts whether a bat will share with a non-relative? The single greatest factor isn't genetic relatedness, but the history of their social association. Simply put, they share with their friends. A bat is more likely to be saved by a long-term, unrelated buddy with whom it has a strong grooming history than by a distant cousin it rarely interacts with. How are these life-saving friendships forged? The foundation is built through allo-grooming, the act of grooming another individual. While it serves a hygienic purpose, removing parasites, its primary function here is social. It's the bat equivalent of going for coffee. Bats spend a significant portion of their time in the roost grooming their preferred partners. This physical contact strengthens social bonds, reduces stress, and, critically, establishes the trust necessary for future blood sharing. Each instance of grooming is like a small, consistent deposit into a relationship, building the social capital required for a life-saving withdrawal when starvation looms. The cognitive load of managing this social network is immense. A bat must recognize dozens of individuals within a chaotic, crowded roost. It needs to recall who it has groomed, who has groomed it, who it has fed, and which bats have defaulted on their social debts. This requires a brain structured for complex social computation, a trait we often associate primarily with primates. The bat's brain must constantly update a multi-dimensional map of its social world. Who is a reliable partner? Who is a fair-weather friend? Who is a cheater? These calculations are running constantly in the background. What prevents the system from collapsing under the weight of freeloaders? Evolution has a way of dealing with cheaters. Bats that consistently receive blood meals but fail to reciprocate when they have a surplus are remembered. They are gradually excluded from the grooming and sharing network. Their social bonds wither, and when they inevitably face an unsuccessful night of hunting, they will find no one willing to share. The social contract is enforced by ostracism. In this high-stakes world, being a bad friend is not just a social faux pas, it's a death sentence. This level of cooperation is not an evolutionary oddity confined to bats. It's a strategy that has appeared in many forms across the animal kingdom. Think of meerkats, where sentinels stand guard at great personal risk to protect the foraging group. Or dolphins, which coordinate to herd fish into bait balls for easier feeding. Even rats have been shown to help a trapped cage mate before helping themselves to a treat. What the vampire bat demonstrates so vividly is that under the right evolutionary pressures, high risk and high potential for repeated interactions, complex systems of trust and reciprocity can emerge in brains very different from our own. The mechanics of these bonds aren't purely computational. They're also chemical. The hormone oxytocin, often called the love drug or bonding hormone in humans, plays a crucial role. Studies on vampire bats have shown that administering oxytocin to unfamiliar individuals makes them more likely to initiate social grooming. It essentially greases the wheels of social bonding, making it easier to form the very relationships that will later become life-saving food-sharing partnerships. The abstract concept of friendship is, at one level, a behavioral pattern driven by the ebb and flow of specific neurochemicals that promote trust and affiliation. So when we see that successful hunter returning to the roost, we see more than a simple act of sharing. That regurgitated blood is the return on an investment of grooming. It's a transaction recorded in a sophisticated mental database and a behavior modulated by ancient hormones. It is the endpoint of a complex social strategy built on trust and enforced by memory that allows these creatures to survive in an environment where a single night of bad luck would otherwise be fatal. The blood that passes between them isn't just a meal, it's the literal lifeblood of their society.
Monotony has grown fast. Nearly 2,700 people have watched in the last few weeks, yet less than 0.03% are subscribed. It would mean a lot if you joined by hitting subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.